Time to talk about prison.
There ain't but two types of birds. That's a free bird and a jail bird. And in the world I live in, you either one or the other. And it's just that simple. You either free, that means you're a free bird in society, or you in jail, locked up, incarcerated. Jailbird. I've been home for 2 decades now. Looking back, as I sit here and reflect, I want to share with you on the Pen and The Shank, the most unusual and unique crime and prison channel experience on YouTube, my credentials, and what gives me authority to speak into your lives about how to make it after prison. Yeah, I can tell prison stories all day long, and we could laugh, and we could joke, and we could ha-ha and kiki. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But what gives me the authority to speak on being successful after prison? That's what I'm going to share with you in this video. That's right. It's an exclusive. Something that you rarely hear me do on my channel, which is brag about my credentials and brag about the things I've accomplished since I've been home from prison. I'm finally going to do in one complete video right here. That's right. I'm going to tell y'all some of my accomplishments, my ups and downs since I've been released from prison. And as I sit here looking back saying I made it from 2 decades and I'm still free, when I know a lot of people who got out of prison and they went back in, and I was one of them before this time around, and things that people struggle with that I learned how to successfully, defeat. It wasn't easy, but here it is. My first day home, y'all know the story. My goal was to connect with my children. And the very first day home, I did. I contacted my daughter via phone, and that was a challenge for months afterwards, just trying to be able to spend time with her. My son, my family raised him, so it was much easier. But I want to sit here and say, looking back, my number one goal when I got out of prison was to connect with my children. And within the first 12 hours of me being released, I reached out to them. And you got to think, I was like 4 hours away from home, 4 or 5 hours drive. So we had to drive home first. So when I got back into town, I made an attempt to contact my children. And that was the first things I did. I stuck to my guns. That was the plan when I got out, to reach out to my children. And that's what I did. I didn't reach out to anybody else other than my children. That's it. I didn't call and go chasing this person and that person, trying to get back on the scene, or even trying to get with a female. I didn't do none of that. I called my son and my daughter. That's the first 2 things. Looking back today, do I have a perfect relationship with them? Nah, I don't. Actually, if you would have asked me the way I expected it to be 2 decades after I've been released from prison, it's not necessarily where I would like it to be. It's one of those areas in my life that I wish would be different, but it's also not the best and it's not the worst. So I've looked both of them in their eye. I had conversations with them. I told them both I was sorry, and, I apologized, and I was 100% truthful with them. Didn't lie nothing to them. You know what I mean? Now, they're both adults, and now we have to figure that out. I had to get a job. That was one of the first things I had to do. And I was blessed because my father got me a job in the welding field, building welding ships. He lived on the bayou. That's where I moved to, on the bayou, down in Lafitte, Louisiana. You know what I mean? Down in Cajun country, where the pirate Lafitte held the fort down, in the battles, representing for Andrew Jackson, making deals. That's where I was. And I was, helping to weld ship. I was just a welding helper. That's all I was. Learned how to weld doing that. And I was blessed because my dad got me that job. I met my wife shortly thereafter. I've been married now for 2 decades. This year literally makes 2 decades of marriage for me. Staying married and staying free for 20 years is no easy task. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to you and pretend like staying free from prison is easy, or staying married is easy. It's difficult. It takes effort. It takes energy. It takes soul searching. You got to look within yourself. Those 2 things alone are hard for a lot of convicts to accomplish. To stay married and stay free. And I'll hit you with the third one, to stay drug free. I have not used narcotics in probably 25 years, 23, 25 years. I haven't used the entire time I've been free. Since the day I walked out of prison, I have not touched an illegal drug. I have not used it. That's one reason that I'm able to successfully stay free. Anybody who struggles with narcotics, it just never turns out well, man. I'm telling you, to be successful in life, you have to find a way to break the addictions of, substance abuse. And my heart goes out to people who struggle with substance abuse. It's a difficult thing. I watched a lot of close friends of mine lose their lives, my brother included, behind substance abuse. And, like I said, man, I understand. I'm not sitting here saying, I'm unsympathetic to what a person is going through. But I'm telling you, if you want to be successful with life after prison, and let's say you've never been to prison. I know people who didn't go to prison, who I'm leaps and bounds ahead of, and they ain't never been to prison. They were home the whole time I'd done in prison. They've been free. And they ain't really accomplished nothing because they were struggling with narcotics. And when they see somebody like me, they're like, oh, how that dude got to where he got. You know what I mean? He had to this, that, and the other. But nobody believed in me when I got out. And I don't blame them. Looking back, I'm not mad that nobody didn't believe in me. I get it. I was a chump and a punk. You know what I mean? I didn't do what I was supposed to. I came out committing crimes. I went back to prison. But now, 20 years, well, I got something to teach. I got something to say. It wasn't easy. We got married. Me and my wife. We moved into an apartment. We were grateful. No matter where we went in life and no matter what. See, I'm blessed. I got a wife who's appreciative in life. And see, she's been through some things herself. She's a soldier. She's ex-military. You know what I mean? She was in the reserves. She comes from a military family. Strict country family. Don't play no games. Abide by the rules. Don't make excuses. And so when we first met, it was after Hurricane. When we got married right after Hurricane Katrina, and we lived in a FEMA trailer. And after the FEMA trailer, we lived in the ghetto in Baton Rouge, in the hood. One way in, one way out. Dudes were slaying drugs on the corner. I remember one time me and my wife were pulling up, and I thought we was about to get jacked because I was blessed. My dad gave me a truck. And that's another thing, man. When you get somebody to help you in life, don't complain about it. Recognize it wasn't a brand new truck, but it was a nice truck. It was a Dodge. It was like 6 or 7 years old, and it was a decent truck. And I kept that truck until it got stolen from me, literally. So, we moved in the hood. We was in the hood in Baton Rouge. Dudes was slanging. I thought we was gonna get jacked one day, but they were trying to sell us. They were trying to sell us dope, And after a while, they knew. And listen, this apartment was so bad that the garbage company did not pick up trash back there. There was literally a pile of trash that was probably over 10 feet tall, and it was probably about 20 foot wide in the cul-de-sac that they never touched. Flies, rats, roaches everywhere. We went in that apartment, we cleaned it up in the hood, in the ghetto, and we made the best out of it. We didn't complain. And I worked, doing roofing work, construction work, actually, doing menial labor work with some connections from somebody I knew who was in prison. He's not even alive today because narcotics took his life. Rest in peace, Mike. And he knew some people. My wife, just so happened that a roundabout way, me and my wife was connected to the people. Her supervisor in the military was married to a good friend of the dude who I'd done time with, who I just said passed away, Mike. And so he vouched for me, and I started doing construction with this dude, another dude. And I wasn't getting paid a lot, cash money, under the table. You know how it goes. And eventually we moved out of that ghetto and we moved into a place right off the bayou on the North Shore. Another little small, every time we moved up, but we never complained about where we were. And when we were in this place, it was in Slidell, Louisiana, this little condo, there were times where we would scrounge for change in our vehicles to go buy a hot dog or ramen noodle soup. I was still eating like I was in prison, but I wasn't acting like I was in prison. It took me time. And I remember sitting in a parking lot one day, sitting down with my head sobbing and weeping, wondering how my life was going to go. And I wasn't home from prison but for 4 or 5 months. And I remember one of the dudes I worked with, he told me, he said, man, be easy on yourself. You got to build a history. And here I am, 2 decades later with a history. He was right. So what did I accomplish? I got an associate's degree within that time. I got an associate's degree while I was working. I worked during the day and went to school at night. I was roofing. We lived on the North Shore. I worked in Baton Rouge. And if you know anything, that's a far drive. I was driving an hour and a half to get to work and an hour and a half back home. But I wouldn't go straight back home after work. I went to night school. And from night school, I went home. And my wife, she went to school during the day and she worked as security at night. So we didn't even see each other. We didn't know. Nobody taught us what marriage was neither. We had to learn that out on our own. What else am I successful with? 2 decades of marriage. How many people you know have been married for 2 decades? That ain't no easy thing. We had to go through the fire. We had to go through hell with one another and with ourselves. We didn't know all the baggage and problems we had, but I can tell you how to stay married. Guarantee that. Because I stayed married with my faults, with my flaws, with my sins, and with the things that I'd done wrong to my wife. You know, I can teach you how to stay married. I know how to stay married. It ain't easy. And that's the thing. People will bail out. There ain't no quick fix in this. You got to get to 20 years of freedom just by getting to 20 years with freedom. Stay off drugs. I mean that one. You know, don't drink alcohol. For me, I can't really drink because I got Asian flush. Y'all know I'm part Japanese, you know. And I got that gene where I can't drink that alcohol. That Asian flush bangs me up, you know. But I earned my associate's degree. And I almost got a bachelor's degree, but I never did finish because I was taking it online and it was just too hard for me to take online. And so I wound up stopping. But I did get my associate's degree and I got some credentials toward a bachelor's degree. I also got a certificate in ministry, the degree for Louisiana School of Ministry through the Assemblies of God. So I am a certified minister in the state of Louisiana. I accomplished that. Me and my wife did that together. We drove from New Orleans to Alexandria, Louisiana to take the classes in person, spent the night up there and earned that certificate. That wasn't easy, but that's another thing that I accomplished since I've been free. I was IFIA certified. I did a dozen years on the Mississippi River in the oil field. Came in, not knowing nothing. Worked my way up to safety and training manager. You know what I mean? Supervisor. And I became IFIA certified, good at what I did. The company trusted me. I was trustworthy, you know? And what is IFIA certification? It's a certification that says that I was part of an inspectors, you know what I mean, federation, and I knew what I was doing. And I got paid accordingly, y'all. I went from making money under the table to where I was making more overtime than I could possibly keep up with. I know how to stay employed. I know how to stay free. I know how to stay married, and I know how to stay employed. I'm reliable in all 3 of the areas. See, I can stay free. I can teach you how to stay free. I can teach you how to stay married. I can teach you how to keep a job. Nowadays, it's hard to find somebody who get a job for a decade. That's right, a whole decade, man. That's a long time to keep work, you know. I'm also a member of the National Technical Honor Society. You know what? Because when I went to night school and it was hard and I wasn't making no money and I was eating ramen noodle soups like I was still in the penitentiary, I also showed up on time. I didn't miss no time. I was reliable, you know. My professors knew they can rely on me. I involved myself with extracurricular activities such as art fairs. I won a couple art competitions, you know. I also, you know, because of my, you know, commitment to education and commitment to making myself better, I am a member for life of the National Technical Honor Society. Not all convicts got that. Not all free people got that. You know what I mean? Especially coming from where I came from, you know? And I remember they did a job fair. And I went to the job fair. And it's one of those times where I tried to join the military too, because the military recruiters were there. And once they found out, a lot of the professors at the school spoke up for me. And I went to the different tables. They said, we heard about you. But then they found out I was a felon. And they didn't want to give me a job. But I found one company, a nonprofit called PNOLA, Phoenix of New Orleans, Louisiana. A doctor started it, and they gave me a shot. They found out I've been to prison. I told them what happened. I got a shot straight out of school. The school connected me, and I was a project manager. I helped organize and rebuild so many houses for underprivileged people in New Orleans. I did that for 2 years, making minimal or no money. That was before I went to the oil field. I spent 2 years helping society. I knew I had to help society. I wanted to help society more. I wanted to be a better person. And so that's why I did that, you know. And I worked in conjunction with the New Orleans Saints to rebuild the home. I actually worked with 2 Saints players, you know, and we rebuilt somebody's house. I worked in conjunction to build playgrounds in underprivileged neighborhoods. I'm the one who went pulled the permits, and I was making less than minimum wage to do this. I wanted to give back. I helped plant a church in the 9th Ward of New Orleans, Louisiana. Me and my wife spent almost 3 years planting that church. Blood, sweat, tears, literally. Almost our marriage. And we planted that church. You know, because we wanted to help society. And sometimes society doesn't appreciate it. We met people who were grateful. For more often than not, most people haven't been grateful. They'd rather spit in your face. As long as you're doing for them, they good. But as soon as you quit doing for them, because they don't want to do for themselves. And that's a reality. But the reason that me and my wife made it successful in life and where we're at, I also helped my wife get a master's degree. I helped her. I made sure that she can go to school without having to worry about anything while she earned her master's degree. I'll tell you something else I wanted to do. While I was in prison, I made a note. I wanted to visit 3 countries. I was real enough to know that I didn't want to go too crazy and try to give myself too many places to visit. But I said there's 3 countries I'd like to visit when I get out of prison before I die. I've accomplished 2 of them. In both of them, I went to make the world a better place. I wanted to go to Germany. I wanted to go to Israel, and I wanted to go to Japan. You know, my people are from Japan. I'm Japanese. That's the only one I haven't been to. I went to Germany. I went to Israel. I went to Germany on a missions trip. And then we went to help, you know, the students for Christ in Germany. And I got to speak to a lot of students, and we got to help a lot of people when I was in Germany. Went to Israel for 2 weeks on an educational trip. I got to speak at a podium that United States presidents speak at. That was a real pinnacle for me. They told me, they said, you're going to speak. It was Yad Vashem. They said, you're going to speak on this podium. This is the same podium that we pull out. This is the same exact spot when presidents and dignitaries come to here in Israel. This is the same podium they speak from. This is the same spot they stand. And I got to read a letter from a Holocaust survivor. It was humbling. What about materialism? I'm sitting in my truck right now. This is my dream truck. I didn't get this dream truck till I was in my mid-40s, 46, 40. I was 47 years old when I finally got this truck. I had used vehicles. I drove most of the time with no air conditioning. Most of my life, my vehicles have been in Louisiana with no air conditioner, working on roofs, hard labor, no air conditioning. I finally got a brand new Toyota Tacoma. That's right. It took time, but here it is. I got it. Sometimes you got to wait in life. See, I know what it takes. I know what patience takes to earn something the right way. I got my home. From the ghetto to our own home, that's where we are now. From working security jobs, my wife has a master's degree. And that's part of my accomplishments. We got a stack of certificates like this. Bigger. Can't keep up with them. Quit keeping them. I recently saw another channel, and I'm going to give him a shout out to, Prison is My Playground. Pimp, go check him out. Prison is My Playground. He did a video on his certificates. I thought that was, really interesting. But to show what he accomplished since he's been home from prison. And kudos to you, man. That's a shout out, brother. Good job. We accomplish stuff, And so this stuff gives our words weight. Because we're not just saying it. I'm telling you, you can trust the words I'm saying. When I give advice, I'm giving advice from places that I've been. And I'm saying that making it's not easy, but it's possible. And I want to encourage you because I'm going to have some content coming. And even in my membership my memberships that I'm going to start, I'm going to be dropping videos on how to make it in these areas in life. You want to know how to stay married? I got some information. You want to know how to keep a job? I got information. I can tell. And if it feels like it's impossible, staying motivated, I know how to do it. Even when the odds seem like they're stacked against you. I'm not in the oil field no more because I hurt my back. So I got to figure out something else. I started doing this YouTube thing. I'm hoping eventually I can make a living doing this. And so far, this community has been awesome. And you know what? I got to be patient. I've been doing YouTube for 2 years. 2 years. That ain't a lot of time. I want to pick up traction, but I have to learn how to operate this thing. You know, I didn't come up in the age of technology. I came up in prison. You know? And I hope to make this a living. But I'll have, you know, stuff to offer. But I just wanted to share that with y'all today. I didn't know where this video was going to go. I had different ideas and it went where it went. 2 decades on, a reflection, looking back, sharing it with y'all. Because, hey, y'all the best. Everybody who's a part of the Pen and The Shank, awesome community, man. I love the way we move. We don't have to beat our chest all the time. And let me tell you something to all them haters. I get them in the comments sometimes because I ain't acting as hard as they think I should act. They don't like that I wear a pink shirt. They don't like the way I talk. I talk how I talk. I ain't changing that for nobody. I ain't losing no sleep behind it either. And guess what? Check this shirt out. Orange Blossom. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, a convict wearing a strawberry shortcake shirt. Orange Blossom. I think Orange Blossom's awesome. Look at her. Orange Blossom. Oh, that's going to offend some people. Oh, what kind of convict? What kind of... Man, y'all still acting like gangsters? You did 15 years in prison, you punk. And you out here on the street still if you representing for Crips, Bloods, or any kind of prison politics, and you in the free world, then you probably a punk. And I ain't necessarily talking about a punk who takes it in the booty. I'm talking about a punk who forgot his own mother, his own wife, and his own children. Because now you did what you had to do in prison, but y'all come out here and y'all still represent for that stuff? Man, I don't have to represent for no set. I don't have to pull out my paperwork for you. I ain't scared of nobody, man. I started my own 2 feet in prison. And anybody who was in prison with me knows I wasn't the baddest dude in the block. Never. I wasn't no tier rep. You know, I didn't walk through like King Kong because I wasn't. But nobody told me how to operate. I did my time on my own. You know what I mean? These dudes acting like you got to prove something to them. I ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. I prove something to myself every day when I pay my taxes. And when I get behind, I still got to pay them. You know what I mean? I'm there. I do what I got to do in society. I don't get drunk like an idiot and go driving DUI and hurt people. You know? Some of these dudes are crazy, man. Like all they got to do, man, nobody cares who you are. People don't care that we were in prison. I tell that to people all the time. Nobody cares that I was in prison. Dudes don't care. People in the free world don't care that we were in prison. They might find our stories interesting, but they're not moved by the fact that they're not operating their life like, oh my gosh, dude, you're so hard. They just don't care, man. And that's a reality, man. Anyway, give me a like and subscribe to the Pen and The Shank. And go check out one of my videos. It really helps the algorithm. Help this channel to grow. I know we can blow this thing up, man. We can do this together, man, as a community. Go check out some videos and share them. Hype them, like them. You know what I mean? That's all I got for now, man. Live your best life. I got more to come.